In the heart of the savannah, beyond the rolling hills and dense forest, lay a town called Apata Ayo. It was a prosperous place, filled with lush farmlands and people whose laughter echoed through the valleys. Life in Apata Ayo was simple and serene, until the day a stranger appeared, bringing with him a chilling mystery that would forever change the fate of the village. The man called Oludayo arrived in Apata Ayo with little more than a small bag and a silver tongue. He was tall, with broad shoulders and a piercing gaze that could unsettle even the most fearless warrior. He wore a deep, knowing smile that seemed to hide more than it revealed. Oludayo was a widower, a fact he did not hesitate to share. "My poor wife," he would say, his voice thick with sorrow. "She was taken by a mysterious illness in the night." The villagers, moved by his apparent grief, welcomed him with open arms, offering him a place to stay and work to occupy his hands. Little did they know, beneath his sorrow facade lay a heart as cold as the darkest night. It didn't take long for Oludayo to integrate himself with the people of Apata Ayo. He was generous, always willing to share the few coins he claimed to have brought from his previous life. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. He was charming, his stories of distant land and adventures captivating the imaginations of those who would listen. Before long, whispers began to spread among the women in the community, whispers of his kindness, his strength, and his wealth, whispers of a new husband, a new life. Oludayo's eyes soon fell upon Kemi, the most beautiful woman in the village. Kemi was the daughter of the village chief, a woman of grace and intelligence, known for her compassion and kindness. Her beauty was such that men from neighboring village often came to court her, only to be turned away. But when Oludayo expressed his intentions, Kemi's father, Chief Abiodun, saw an opportunity. Here was a man who was not only wealthy but also wise beyond his years, a man who could provide for his daughter in ways no other suitor could. The wedding was grand, a celebration that lasted for days. Drums beat into the night, the sky lit up with stars, and the village danced and sang. Kemi was radiant in her traditional attire, her eyes sparkling with the hope of a new life. Oludayo by her side, he wore a smile that did not quite reach his eyes. For a time, all seemed well. Oludayo treated Kemi with respect and kindness. He showered her with gifts and whispered sweet words in her ears. But as the months passed, Kemi began to notice things, small things at first, like how Oludayo would often disappear into the forest for hours, returning with a strange look in his eyes, or how he would speak in his sleep, muttering words she could not understand. She felt a coldness in him, a distance that seemed to grow with each passing day. One night, Kemi woke to find Oludayo standing over her, his face a mask of something she could not quite place. Fear, anger, she could not tell. He smiled when she saw him, but it was a smile that chilled her to the bone. "Go back to sleep, my dear," he whispered. "It's nothing, just a bad dream." But Kemi knew better. She felt a dark presence in the room, a heaviness that pressed down on her chest. She did not sleep that night, and when the morning sun broke, Oludayo was gone. Days turned into weeks and Kemi's unease grew. She began to ask questions discreetly at first, trying to learn more about her husband's past. But the more she asked, the more she realized that no one in the town truly knew where Oludayo had come from or what he had done before arriving in Apata Ayo. The mystery only deepened. One day, while Oludayo was away, please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. Away on one of his mysterious outings, Kemi decided to search their home. She had never been one to pry, but her instinct told her that there was something she needed to find, something that would explain the darkness she felt was growing in her husband's heart. She started in the bedroom, opening drawers and cabinets, but found nothing out of the ordinary. Next, she moved to the small storage room at the back of the house. As she searched through old clothes and dusty boxes, Her hand brushed against something cold and metallic. She pulled it out, a small box covered in strange symbols she had never seen before. Her heart pounded in her chest as she opened the box. Inside, she found a collection of rings, each one unique, each one clearly worn by a different woman. There were letters too, written in a delicate script expressing love and devotion. Letters from the women who, like her, had once been married to Oludayo. Women who had disappeared without a trace. Kemi's breath caught in her throat as the horrifying realization dawned upon her. Her husband, the man she had thought was a grieving widower, was something far more sinister. A man who collected wives like trophies, only to make them vanish, leaving no trace behind. Her hands shook as she put the box back in its place. She knew she had to leave, to escape, but how could she do so without arousing Oludayo's suspicion? Kemi waited for the cover of the night to make her escape. She packed a small bag with the little she could carry and crept out of the house. The village was quiet. The only sounds were the chirpings of crickets and the rustle of leaves in the wind. She made her way to her father's house, her heart pounding with each step. When she reached the door, she knocked softly, praying her father would quickly answer. Chief Abiodun opened the door, his face etched with concern. "Kemi," he whispered, "what is it? Why are you here in the middle of the night?" "Father," she said, her voice trembling, "I need your help. I need to leave this town tonight." Her father looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "I will gather some men," he said. "We will see you safely away." But before they could leave, the door burst open, and there stood Oludayo, his eyes wild with fury. "Kemi," he hissed, "where do you think you're going?" Chief Abiodun stepped between them. "She's leaving, Oludayo. She's no longer your wife." Oludayo's face contorted with rage. "You do not understand," he snarled. "She belongs to me." With a roar, Oludayo launched at the chief, but the old man was quick. The two men landed on the floor, struggling, their bodies crashing into the walls of the small house. Kemi watched in horror as they fought, her heart in her throat. But then, just as quickly as it had begun, it was over. Oludayo slumped to the ground. He had twisted his left leg. The fight stopped suddenly. Chief Abiodun stood over him, breathing heavily. For a moment, there was silence. Then, Oludayo's leg straightened out by itself. A strange dark mist seemed to seep through his mouth, filling the room with a foul stench. The chief stumbled back, his hand covering his mouth. "What is this?" he yelled. Kemi knew then that this was no ordinary man. Oludayo was something else entirely, something dark and evil. She grabbed her father's hand and pulled him towards the door. "We have to go," she said, "now." They ran out into the night, the sounds of the village coming alive around them. Dogs barked and people shouted as they ran through the streets. Kemi could feel the darkness following them, pressing in around them, but she did not look back. She knew that if she did, she would see Oludayo standing there, his eyes burning with an unholy fire. Kemi and her father fled to a neighboring town. There, they sought refuge with an old friend of the chief. They stayed there for several days, waiting for the darkness to lift, for the nightmare to end. But it never did. Every night, Kemi would wake up to the sound of whispers, the feeling of cold fingers brushing across her skin. She knew that Oludayo was still out there, searching for her. She knew that he would never stop until he found her. And so she decided to seek out the only person who could help her, Baba Ogun, the village elder known for his knowledge of the dark arts. Baba Ogun lived deep in the forest, far from any village. It took Kemi and her father 2 days to get to his hut. When they did, they were greeted by a man who seemed to be expecting them. "I know why you have come," Baba Ogun said, his voice deep and gravely. "The man you seek to escape from is not a man at all. He is a spirit, a demon in human form. He has lived for centuries, moving from town to town, taking wives and keeping them very far from here." Kemi felt a chill run down her spine. "Is there any way to stop him, Baba?" she asked. Baba Ogun nodded. "There is a way, but it is dangerous. You must return to the village and confront him. You must call upon the spirit of those he has kept away. Kemi's heart sank. She knew that this was her only chance, but she also knew that it will not be easy. She will have to face Oludayo again, to look into his eyes and see the darkness that lay within. But she knew she had no choice. She could not let him continue his evil deeds. She had to be strong. She had to be brave. Kemi returned to Apata Ayo with her father and a group of warriors from the neighboring village. They arrived that night under the cover of darkness and made their way to Oludayo's house. The village was quiet. The only sound was the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. As they approached the house, Kemi could feel her heart pounding in her chest. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. She knew that this would be the hardest thing she had ever done, but she also knew that it was the only way to stop the evil that Oludayo has come to do in the town. They reached the house and found the door wide open. Inside, Oludayo was waiting, his eyes glowing in the darkness. "I knew you will come back," he said, his voice lowering and menacing. "You cannot escape from me, Kemi. You belong to me." Kemi stepped forward, her chin held high. "I do not belong to you, Oludayo," she said, her voice steady. "You are a monster, and you will pay for what you have done." Oludayo laughed, a sound that sent shivers down her spine. "And who will make me pay? You?" he sneered. Kemi raised her hands, calling upon the spirit of the women Oludayo had kept away. She could feel their presence around her. She could hear their voices whispering in her ears. Oludayo struggled, his face twisted with fear, but there was nothing he could do. A binding light shone from heaven. It was too strong and powerful. The great light pulled him down to his knees, and he began to ask for forgiveness, crying profusely. Kemi watched as Oludayo disappeared. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. His screams fading into the night. She knew that he was gone, that he would never again suffer any other person in the village. She felt a sense of relief wash over her, knowing that justice had finally been served. And so the story of the serial widower's deep secret came to an end. A tale of courage, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of a woman who refused to be defeated by the shadows of the past. The legendary of Kemi lived on, a reminder to all who heard it that even in the darkest times, there's always hope, always a chance for justice, always a new dawn waiting just beyond the horizon. Just look beyond the sky and you will find it.